Good evening. Come on. Happy Monday in Monrovia. So, the only bad part about tonight is I've got Andy Montgomery sitting up here. And if you know Andy very well, you know he loves to heckle people. So if he starts, just ignore him. Don't worry about that. But this is another exciting evening in Monrovia to give everyone a little taste of what's been going on over the past year and maybe a little look into the future. This is an event that was started by Rob Hammond when he was mayor. Where's Rob at? Rob, thank you. We improved on it considerably by adding popcorn and candy. And I figured, you know, if you spend a little time down at Basin 141, was that good? Yeah. Oh, yeah. So if you get down there and get a little food in your belly and a couple cocktails, and we come back and sit you in a nice, comfortable seat and dim the lights and it gets a little warm, enough of you will doze off that it won't matter what I say. So thank you all for that. But as with any other event, there's a lot of things that we're going to be touching on. But the first thing we need to do tonight is call up our city treasurer, city historian, Steve Baker, to lead us in an invocation. Steve Baker, come on up.
Thank you, Mayor Adams. Please bow your heads in prayer. O Lord God, look down upon those gathered here this evening and bless us with your presence. We acknowledge that you are the source of all good things and that you have blessed us richly. Our city reflects the dreams, hopes, and creative spirit of its people. We have strong religious, social, educational, and humanitarian institutions, as well as a strong sense of identity. As the psalmist said, we have a goodly heritage. We give you thanks for the lives of all those who lived among us, left their imprint on the life of our city, but are with us no more. As we turn toward the future, inspire us continually with the same creative spirit that has enriched us in the past. Help us to resolve any differences we may have with understanding and mutual respect. Help us to embrace all Monrovians, whether they live within our city limits or not. Keep our city staff focused and innovative, and our police and fire personnel safe from any harm. Grant that we may continue on the road of success. These things we ask, invoking the power of your name. Amen.
Thank you, Steve. Next up, we've got a fine group of young individuals here from Monrovia Troop 66 of the Boy Scouts presenting the colors.
Troop, attention. Color guard, attention. Audience, please rise. Color guard, advance. Color guard, halt. Color guard, please post the colors. Color guard, salute the colors. Those in uniform, please salute. Those not in uniform, place your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. 2. Color guard, reform. Color guard dismissed. National anthem, please.
Oh, good.
Okay. How's that start again?
Okay. Thank you. Give these young folks a big hand, please. And stay standing, please, if you would. Ava Holquin from Center Stage is going to perform the national anthem. Ava, thank you so much. We appreciate you being here. This young lady has an amazing voice.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets rang loud, the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner get waved for the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Thank you so very much. I just don't know that it can get any better. Ava, thank you. So, I get the tough job of introducing all the VIPs, and I want you to know you're all very important people. You're all very important to us, and we're so happy you're here. So before I go through the official list, I'd like you to look to the person to your left and tell them that they're a VIP and you appreciate them being here. Now, for those of you that are on the row seat of the left, you didn't have anyone to turn to, so turn to the person on your right, tell them they're a VIP and you're glad they're here. So now I'm going to go over a list of some folks here that I would love to introduce. Our certified municipal city clerk, Alice Atkins. And I know this will be hard to do, but if you could hold your applause until we get through the list, because we're limited on our time. And there's a couple people here that the applause could go on for a long time. But next we have our city treasurer, Steve Baker. Representative of Congresswoman Judy Chu, Lauren Jacobs. Hector Elizalde, on behalf of Congresswoman Grace Napolitano. Hector, where are you? We appreciate you being here. Hector's a great guy. Christy Lopez, on behalf of Senator Anthony Portantino. Christy, thank you. Veronica Lopez, from Assemblyperson Blanca Rubio. Sandra Maravilla, from Supervisor Catherine Barger's office. The Honorable Judge Bruce Mars. From Monrovia Unified School District, Board Member Rob Hammond. Board Member Maritza Travanti. Board Member Brian Wong. Board Member Celine Lockerbie. From the Madtown Council, and these are the folks that represent the county area of Monrovia, Arcadia, and Duarte. And if it weren't for that artificial line that's been drawn down there, we could probably do a lot of things maybe just a little bit better, but we have Madtown Council Yvonne Bullock, Madtown Council Joan Clayton, Madtown Council Lucy Nicoloro, Madtown Council Terrence Williams, a man who taught me a little more about community than I knew before that. Terrence, thank you so much. Planning Commissioner Gary Scheffler, Planning Commissioner Scott Austin, Planning Commissioner Cheryl Rose. Historic Preservation Commissioner Sergio Jimenez, Historic Preservation Commissioner Penny Zook, Community Services Commissioner Edward Belden, Community Services Commissioner Tom Dittmar, Community Services Commissioner Jeannia Mills, Community Services Commissioner Brian Ohm, and Community Services Commissioner Fernando Villegas. From MOTAB, which is the Downtown Merchants Association, Diane Balsamo. Please give them all a big hand. It's a lot of people who work for free to try to continue to make Monrovia a better place, and we're very appreciative of all their efforts. Thank you all so much. So ever since I was elected to serve as your mayor, I've tried to approach my job in a way that focuses on the contribution and collective efforts of the entire city council. And I got to tell you, this is an amazing group I get the pleasure of working with. And that doesn't mean that we always agree. Actually, from time to time, we disagree. But you'd be amazed how much time and effort goes into each and every one of these individuals' commitment to the community. And I couldn't be more honored than to have the ability to work with all of you. So thank you very much. But it's amazing, how many of you knew who UCLA basketball coach John Wooden was? It's amazing how much you can accomplish if you don't care who gets the credit. Because when the day's done, it should be about the community, not about any one of us. And I believe that more than I ever have, because together, although we struggle from time to time, but because we do it together, we're stronger. I didn't always believe that. I remember back when I used to work with City Manager Don Hopper, and Don used to always tell me how all it takes is a little chink in the council and things start to come apart. And I thought, how can that be? How can one person do that? But I believe it more than ever because I've seen it, and I've seen the contrary. And I think that relationship between the council members has been so strong, it leads to more success for the community, and we all get to benefit from that. So Gloria, Becky, Alex, thank you all so much. Larry's not with us tonight. Larry just had a knee surgery, but you're going to hear from him later. But these folks all set aside perhaps their political differences in favor of Monrovia. And maybe I was too young back then to realize the wisdom that Don Hopper was trying to give me about the benefit of trying to work together. So I've gotten a little older, and I think there's a couple people that maybe think I'm a little wiser, maybe two or three. I have this evening with me my wife Sally, and I have my daughter Corey, and I have my daughter's partner Gage. Thank you for being here. And 2.5 of them think I'm a little wiser than I used to be. And I'm going to let you figure out which 2.5. But we've all seen how things go if someone puts their personal agenda in front of the agenda that the community wants. And that's what we've tried hard to avoid, to try to keep it focused on what's best for the community without regard for personal agendas. To achieve greatness for Monrovia, our efforts have been coordinated under the name of Renewal. You've all heard that many times, haven't you? Monrovia Renewal, $51.7 million. The project's been named Monrovia Renewal, and it is the largest public works project in the history of the city. $51.7 million aimed at making priority repairs on our roadways, sidewalks, sewer, and water infrastructure. And I'm so pleased to tell you that we're on track to complete this in 2021 with no new taxes. Imagine that. And when you come to think about the scale of the improvements we've made through Monrovia Renewal, the work that has been done is a bit overwhelming. 3.8 million square feet of street improvements. That's the equivalent of 70 football fields. 76,000 square feet of sidewalk replacements. 62,000 linear feet of new curbs and gutters, which is more than the area contained in a football field. 2 miles of new water pipelines, and more importantly, 2.5 miles of sewer improvements, because having one without the other doesn't work real well. 82-point repairs to our sewer lines, and 431 new service lines installed. When we're done with Monrovia Renewal, we will have upgraded every street that was rated needing concerns. That means every street, water line, sewer line, curb, gutter, sidewalk will all be up to at least 70%, which we had streets that were down to the dirt. And there's a few more that need to be done, but we're getting there. We have renewed Monrovia for the most part, and by 2021 it will be complete. So tonight you get to hear from the whole city council because, as I said, we get a lot more done if we don't care who gets the credit. So each member of the council, including Councilman Spicer, who's not with us this evening, will give you a little presentation on a particular part of the community. They're all going to come up here on the stage and share with you some pretty important things. And at times this seems maybe a little boring because we go over it over and over and over again every month. But for some of you tonight, some of this may be brand new. We hope you enjoy what your community is doing, and we hope that you appreciate the newness that comes along with Monrovia Renewal. So first up, I'm going to call up Mayor Pro Tem Becky Shevlin. Becky, come on up here tonight. Becky's going to share some details related to some of the amazing capital improvements that Monrovia has been doing. And Becky, I'm going to turn the microphone over to you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Tom, for that introduction. And I've already been given very strict instructions not to talk very long by Diane Balsamo. She's up there. She's probably wants to kill me right now. I'm sure my husband has the same thought. And I know I've been accused of talking too much. But if anyone has a problem with how long this is going this evening, but there's a lot of great information. We can blame Oliver because he wrote my script. So thank you, Tom, and thank you, Oliver. Thanks for setting the stage so well for me to share details related to some of the terrific capital improvement work that the city completed during the last year. Because even though we've been working hard to deliver Monrovia Renewal project that Tom described, we haven't neglected to continue making advances on other priority capital related initiatives throughout the city. So while we have been coordinating the execution of, yes, that $51.7 million Monrovia Renewal project, we've also found time to complete 24 additional capital improvement projects during the past year. 24. That's an average of 2 projects completed per month. And perhaps the most high profile of those additional capital projects we completed was the rehabilitation of what many in the community consider to be the most historically significant structure in the entire city. It's a building that has in the past caused Monrovia quite a bit of angst, but it's also a building that has truly brought the community together now as it has been restored and hope to bring us even closer as we go forward. Yes, you guessed it, the building I'm talking about is our fully rehabilitated historic Santa Anita Depot, which was unveiled this last February, almost a year ago. The repairs for the building were incredibly complex. But we had a tremendous team in place to work through all of the intricacies associated with bringing a historically significant building back to life. From our development partners at Daylight Limited to the architectural team at Undisclosable to our city staff who work to facilitate infrastructure improvements and complex permitting coordination. We were able to fully restore the historic Santa Fe Depot, and the facility sits today as a testament to what can be achieved when a community is committed to protecting the gems from our past. Oh, and you know what else? The restoration project was also so well received that it was honored with the prestigious California Preservation Foundation Award. Yay. Yay, team. And I know that's probably one of the most often asked questions. So what's going in there? Well, we've had tons of interest, but no signatures on the dotted line as yet. But keep tuned. Something will be coming. Lots of interest. In addition to the historic Santa Fe Depot, the city also honored one of its icons by finalizing the Bob Bartlett Memorial at Station Square. The design process for the memorial art project was led by Mayor Tom Adams and City Council member Larry Spicer, with the support from Bob Bartlett Memorial Committee. The final piece that was selected, built, and installed depicts the many positive impacts that Bob had on the city and serves as a reminder of the many initiatives he championed to ensure that Monrovia developed into one of the premier cities in the San Gabriel Valley. There were numerous other capital projects that the city executed this past year, like the whimsical and fun sidewalk poetry program called Footnotes. As a bit of trivia, does anyone know where we got the name for the program? Yes, it was our very own council member Gloria Crudgington. She came up with the name Footnotes, and during the past year, we installed multiple poems that were stamped into new concrete sidewalk slabs all throughout town, with more to come in the near future. Now for 2019, we've stopped taking applications for the 2019 year, but come about fall this year, we'll start taking applications for the 2020. So the program hasn't stopped, just stopped taking applications for this year. In addition, so try next time if you missed out this time around. In addition, we finalized and completed several park improvement projects, including a comprehensive renovation of Julian Fisher Park, along with upgrades to Kiwanis Park at Grand Avenue. Yay, Kiwanis! The Julian Fisher Park renovation was so well received that the city won a Park Planning and Design Award from the California Parks and Recreation Society for our efforts. And at Kiwanis Park at Grand Avenue, the city partnered with the Monrovia Kiwanis Club this past year to make multiple improvements, including new signage, benches, park tables, trash bins, a water fountain, rainbow steps, and even a new bear statue named Kiwi. And coming up real soon, you'll also see on the flagpole that's up there on the top part of the park, right on Grand there, you'll see some flags waving soon. Several other facility upgrades we completed this past year include improvements to the cabin deck at Canyon Park, which is one of the city's most popular facility rentals. We also made facility repairs at Fire Station 102, Fire Station 103, and made numerous landscaping improvements throughout the city. As you can see, the before and after photos illustrate the big difference that a bit of TLC can really do for different locations in town. I hadn't seen these. One final capital upgrade I want to touch on was the development of a virtual capital project. During the past few years, the city, in partnership with the Monrovia Historical Society, has been working to document the history of Monrovia stored inside the head of, you guessed it, our city historian, Steve Baker. We finally were able to get inside that head of yours, Steve. And to ensure that the history was available to everyone and to make sure that it wasn't lost, we spent nearly 3 years organizing, digitizing, and developing the Monrovia Legacy online collection. This database of over 5,000 historic photographs and over 1,000 historical papers are now located online, and anyone with an internet connection can now glean so very much about the history of our city. Of particular note, since the program launched last May, the collection has already had around 3,000 unique searches. Wow. Now, in addition to facility improvements, the city this past year also laid the groundwork for significant future capital enhancements by engaging in some terrific planning work. For instance, this past year we completed our historic context statement, which lays the foundation for identifying and evaluating all of Monrovia's historic properties here in our town. The document will help us make better future land use decisions by integrating historic preservation considerations more fully into the development process. And thanks to that document, we will be able to identify and protect those buildings and properties that are so vital to the story that is Monrovia. In addition to planning for ways to preserve this historic charm of our city, we also completed a very important plan focused on improving and expanding our natural resources, parks, outdoor recreation, and cultural resources. The document I'm talking about is our updated open space element and brand new citywide park master plan. With those foundational documents in place, the city now has a roadmap for making future park and open space enhancements for our community to enjoy. Finally, this past year also saw the continued coordination of our library strategic plan. That particular document provides a roadmap for the city on how we can best offer the community endless possibilities through enriched experiences at our library. And the document is already paying dividends. Our library team has accomplished 64% of the goals outlined in the library's strategic plan, which includes a variety of improvements such as upgrading internet speeds and download capacities at our library facility, increasing STEM programming as 31% of all youth programs offered at the library centered around STEM-related objectives, coordinating upgraded programming for our veterans, youth, and senior populations, and developing a brand new Monrovia Reads van program, Yay Monrovia Reads, in partnership with Monrovia Reads. The new van is equipped with the capability to sign up patrons for library cards, check out books, and learn more all about the activities that our library has going on. The van visits every elementary school in Monrovia on a weekly basis and has proven to not be only a terrific capital enhancement, but also an amazing city program. Now, before I wrap up my section on capital upgrades made in the city during the past year, I wanted to highlight one more capital initiative that we tackled. For 5 years, I've been asked, when will it happen? When will they be removed? Why are they still there? You may have guessed, I'm referring to the K-rails that were placed all throughout the city after the Madison fire in 2013. And wouldn't you know it, this past year, the city coordinated the removal of all the K-rail throughout the town. Isn't that great? Yay! Now, I will note that there are still a small section of K-rail located on and adjacent to Highland Place. Those K-rails will be removed in the coming months as the next phase of our Monrovia Renewal Project moves forward. And I know that all of us are excited to see those concrete sticks removed from our city. Yay. Okay, that was a lot, and thanks so much for giving me the chance to share details related to the capital enhancements that we've made in town this past year. Here at the city, I know we're not perfect, and there are many things we still need to get to, but from the overview I just provided, we certainly were busy in 2018 making significant improvements throughout the city, and I can promise you that we have much more in store for this coming year. And for all of you that like hearing all that information and being kept up to date, again, I'd be derelict if I didn't plug Oliver Chee's weekly update. So please go to the city manager's webpage and subscribe to his update every week, and can come right into your email box. So stay tuned for a busy 2019, and many thanks once again. Thank you.
Give Becky a hand, please. I'll tell you, if you took one look at Becky's calendar and all the things she does for Monrovia, you'd roll over. Oh, hold on just a second, my phone's ringing. Hold on. Hello? Oh, hey, Larry? No, not yet, Larry. Give us a couple minutes. Thanks. Yeah, he's home. You know, when you're home, you get anxious, and got his knee all bandaged up, limping around. Thank you, Becky. So, how do you like these seats? Huh? Hey, just to show of hands, how many of you have come down here and seen a movie in the new and improved Studio Movie Grill? I'll tell you, Sally and I try to do it as often as we can, and it's really a real treat to come down and order your dinner, and if you need a refill on your drink, hit the button and they come out and take care of you. So the best way, if you want to say thank you to Studio Movie Grill for their hospitality, the best way is to come back and see a movie. Sound good? Yeah. Thank you. A couple more things before we move on with the agenda. Becky mentioned Oliver Chee's report, but none of this would happen if we didn't have Oliver for our city manager. So give Oliver a hand. And none of this would happen if we didn't have some amazing staff members working for Oliver. And there's a whole gang of them. They all gave up their seats for you. So give them a hand. Because one of the adjustments in the new and improved Studio Movie Grill is they gave everyone more room as we have less seats. So to make sure that we accommodated the community, all our staff members agreed to stand up at attention, so we thank you all on each side. We appreciate everything you do. Next up, I want to introduce Larry Spicer. Larry, as I mentioned, has had a knee replacement, and I joke that he's a bionic man now. He's not a $6 million man, but he is truly bionic. And although he couldn't be here this evening, and he really pained over this because he called me up and he said, hey, they picked a surgery date and I'm not going to make state of the city. And I said, well, Larry, you do what you got to do. At this point in our lives, many of us are having body parts replaced. I've had a hip replaced. Larry's got a knee replaced. There's just all kinds of interesting things go on as you age. But Larry does a stellar job for the community, and he didn't want to miss out on this. So I think we're going to connect with him remotely and let him speak with you a little bit about what's going on in Monrovia. So Larry, can you hear me? Hello? Hello?
Good evening, Monrovia. And before we begin, I have to ask you, how do I look on the big screen? I'm sorry, but it feels kind of strange to be speaking to a camera here at City Hall instead of being with all of you in person at Monrovia's State of the City. And my apologies for not being there. The surgery I had scheduled conflicted with the event. But don't worry, I'm doing fine, unless you've heard something different, in which case, I'm not. I'd also like to give a shout out to the mayor. Tom, thank you for being a terrific leader for us and for the community. Becky, Gloria, and Alex, I'm eternally grateful for all of your support over the past 3 years of working together on the City Council. If there's anything I've learned during this time, is that there is no problem we can't tackle when we work together. For me, it's one of the greatest professional honors of my life to be able to serve all of Monrovia as your City Council member. It's hard to define why, but ask anyone who spends any amount of time in our town and you'll hear them say that something about the fact that our community is just so unique and so special. One of the many reasons that Monrovia stands apart from so many other communities is because of how hard the city works to engage our residents. Even before I was elected as a council member, I found that fact to be true. From my involvement with the Monrovia Area Partnership Program to the special community events that I took my family to the sports programs offered that helped to shape me as a person. I am just so proud of the immense amount of opportunities that the city provides in an effort to bring our community together. For example, did you know that in 2018, the city hosted 32 signature community events? 32. That's nearly 3 special events per month. Some of the biggest events include our immensely popular Spring Egg Hunt event, the Community Empowering MAP Annual Conference, our Fountain to the Falls race, a spectacular redesigned 3-day Monrovia Days Carnival for the community, our renowned 4th of July fireworks spectacular, the Monrovia Old Town Wine Walk, our Halloween spectacular event for kids, family, adults, and dogs, of course, our Veterans Day event honoring those who serve, an intense series of summer programs featuring 20 separate concerts and movies in the park, a new Old Town Festival, a rescheduled community tree lighting event after our holiday parade was rained out, because, of course, we never get enough rain in Monrovia unless we have a special outdoor event planned. The very Monrovia-centric Santa tours throughout town, and of course our redefined New Year's Eve on Myrtle Avenue event. Collectively, these community events drew tens of thousands of people together to experience a sense of community that can only be found here in Monrovia. I mean, our summer concert series alone brought over 7,000 participants. Speaking of summer programming, one of the redesigned initiatives I wanted to highlight involves our Youth Employment Service, or YES internship. Our YES interns had the opportunity to gain real-world work experience as each participant was paired with a professional mentor to help guide them through the summer. 14 of our YES interns worked in city departments, while the other 14 worked with city partners, such as the Boys and Girls Club, Center Stage, Chamber of Commerce, Oakcrest Institute of Science, and Raw Inspiration. Now, one of my passions is to help our youth, but we can't forget our seniors now, can we? I'm so proud to say that this past year, the city launched our first ever senior nutrition program. Through this new program, we are able to ensure that our seniors have access to hot home-cooked meals each week. And even though the program is new, it's already had a ton of participation, as we've served over 550 meals in just a few months' time. Now that deserves an applause, right? Hey! We have also worked closely with the school district this past year on coordinating signature community events, including the Monrovia Days Community Carnival and the 4th of July Fireworks Spectacular, not to mention ongoing relations that are fostered through frequent meetings with leaders from the city, Monrovia Unified School District, and the Chamber. Another entity that we spent considerable time working with is the Monrovia Arcadia Duarte, or the Madtown Council. The Madtown Council represents the unincorporated areas of Monrovia, Arcadia, and Duarte that border our city. The folks that live in unincorporated areas are certainly part of our community, and together we have worked with the Madtown Council to address a number of issues of mutual concerns, such as concerns related to the Monrovia Renewal Infrastructure Project, coordinating involvement in our Monrovia Area Partnership neighborhood programs, discussing traffic-related issues, and collaborating on the development of community events such as summer concert series at Station Square Park. Speaking of issues of concern, that's one of the reasons why we work so hard to engage our residents here in Monrovia. Whenever there are concerns, we work to coordinate special, informative community dialogues. For example, in response to an uptick in residential concern regarding wildlife, the city coordinated a community meeting to discuss how we can better coexist with wildlife. In addition, despite the immense popularity of our Go Monrovia program, there are those who still aren't sure how to utilize the apps on the cell phone. In response to that concern, the city coordinated a special How to Navigate the Lyft app for older adults workshop, complete with a delicious lasagna meal. Additionally, approximately 250 community members gathered under the oak tree in Library Park to meet the men and women of the Monrovia Police Department at our National Night Out event. At this event, not only did our residents see the faces behind the badge, but it also gave everyone the chance to learn more about the tools and methods police officers use to ensure their safety. If there's one program that exemplifies that Monrovia is about people, it would have to be the MAP program, which is near and dear to my heart. Over time, the MAP program has continued to grow and evolve, all while staying true to its mission to build connections and get people more informed and engaged in their local government. After all, our local government exists to serve the people of Monrovia. This past year, MAP returned to its roots by hosting neighborhood block parties with its first ever revealing of the Neighborhood Treasures program, where influential people from Monrovia's past are honored through unique public art pieces. We were able to highlight the contributions of Lieutenant Colonel Allensworth, Kate Wright, and Miss Betty Scott. We also expanded participation in the MAP Leadership Academy and MAP Youth Leadership Academy. In 2018, we saw our largest classes to date with both these programs. We had 17 Adult Leadership Program graduates and 19 Youth Leadership Program graduates. And as a new component to the program, the Youth Leadership Academy volunteered with the Unity Center, learning how to distribute food to different agencies, helping our most vulnerable population. Speaking of helping the most vulnerable members of our community, I wanted to also include my remarks, efforts that the city has made regarding the issue of homelessness in Monrovia. Over the past few years, with rents rising faster than wages across LA, the number of homeless individuals living in Monrovia has risen, an issue that's particularly apparent in the heart of our city at Library Park. And because Library Park is a place where we gather as a community and a place where we bring our kids to play, the situation certainly created a sense of controversy over homelessness. To ensure we at the city did our part to address homelessness and its impact on the community, we worked to redouble our outreach efforts over the past year and spend time listening to the community concerns. Those efforts helped to shape our approach to addressing homelessness, which is underpinned by our efforts to provide assistance for individuals in need through relentless outreach. To do this, the city has engaged multiple agencies, including the deployment of a dedicated weekly patrol that spend time in the field with all of our homeless population. In addition, the city has formed close relationships with local nonprofits, faith-based organizations, community partners, and individuals eager to help so that all of us can work together as a community to provide much-needed resources for those that find themselves out on the street. Through this interaction, the city developed the past year the Housing Displacement Response Program by providing those in need with a temporary hand-up, not an ongoing handout. In addition, the city spearheaded the development of a new homeless response kit. The document provides a comprehensive listing of the multitude of available resources that are at our disposal to combat, prevent, and hopefully one day end homelessness. The kit provides practical resources that outline tangible ways everyone can help address homeless-related issues and is now available. So, with all of this effort that we put forth at the city, it's fair to ask if we made any progress in this area. Here's what we know for sure. Since adopting this relentless outreach approach, the problems at the Library Park have improved. We've been able to place 12 formerly homeless individuals into permanent housing, and we've assisted and prevented a dozen Monrovia families from becoming displaced, including 3 seniors who were in danger of losing their home. Now, that deserves some applause, doesn't it? Having lived in Monrovia for over 50 years, I've seen our community through its ups and downs throughout the decades. And through it all, there's nowhere else that I want to live, because all of us here know that Monrovia truly is the brightest gem in the crown that is the San Gabriel Valley. And part of the reason for that is because here at the city, we make it a point to continually engage our neighbors, as well as we all work together to build a stronger and more united community. I'd like to thank you all for allowing me the privilege of speaking tonight, and by video no less. It is a true privilege, and now I'd like to turn it back to Tom as we continue with the program. Good night, y'all.
So what do you think? I don't know that Larry's ever looked that good before. But you know, here's this guy at home. They just put a new knee on him, and he's got a lot of pain. And he was so concerned that he got to speak to the community. So if you know Larry, give him a call, shoot him a text, send him an email. If you see him, just say, "Hey, Larry, we really appreciate you showing up. Thank you." You know, it's interesting that when you look at everything that Becky and Larry has spoken about, the city's been focused this past year on ensuring that we take care of both the community, our people, and its resources. Because it doesn't do any good to have one without the other. I also believe that the focus on these fundamental responsibilities of the city is part of what has allowed us to tackle some big issues in the community and introduce some creative solutions. To that end, I want to call up Councilmember Alex Blackburn. Alex, come on up. Alex is going to share some pretty exciting stuff with all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Adams. I'd like you all to bear with me tonight. I turned 40 recently, and I'm still writing in font design for a 20-year-old, so it's a little bit hard to see. Thank you, everybody, for being here tonight, for being part of this 2019 State of the City address. What I'll be talking to you about tonight are some of the unique solutions that Monrovia has implemented to solve some of our more vexing problems. Perhaps the best place for me to start my remarks relates to the leadership that Monrovia has shown with regard to public safety. Unfortunately, during the past few years, we've seen a marked increase in Part 1 crime. Part 1 crime, and I should note that that increase has been seen throughout the state, not just in Monrovia. Part 1 crimes are offenses that the FBI has designated as the major crimes that plague our society. There are 8 Part 1 crimes, and they include murder, rape, robbery, assault, burglary, larceny, auto theft, and arson. Given the seriousness of those offenses, it should be alarming to everybody that they are increasing. The reason we've seen this spike in serious crime is because of fundamental changes that have been made to our criminal justice system in the past few years through the enactment of AB 109, Prop 47, and Prop 57. Every law enforcement official who we've spoken to about this matter concurs that those laws are responsible for the increase in the crime that we're seeing. Since the passage of Proposition 47 in late 2015, we have seen some startling crime statistics in our region. They include, for example, an 87% increase in robberies in Claremont, a 29% increase in assaults in Culver City. Obviously, they're working with a different list than I am, but those are the statistics. What about Monrovia? Well, unfortunately, we did not escape the predictable harmful effects of our state allowing more criminals on the streets and reducing the penalties for crimes. At the start of 2018, Monrovia's Part 1 crime rate was 22.4% higher than it was in 2015. What does that mean in human terms? It means that in 2018, 168 more Monrovians were the victim of crime, serious crimes, than in 2015. That is not a trend that we can numbly accept. This council and our staff has a responsibility to keep our residents as safe as possible, and we take that responsibility seriously. To that end, this council and our staff and law enforcement officials took some action. However, before I move on to tell you what action we took, let me show you a short video that further highlights why we felt it was important to aggressively respond to what I refer to as California's unholy trinity of misguided criminal reform laws.
Our house was broken into. It's the third break-in this month on our street. Why doesn't someone do something about the crime?
Our store was robbed again today. I don't know if we're going to be able to keep our doors open if something doesn't change.
Yes, I'm calling to report a suspicious person loitering on our street. He's been here for hours, and I don't feel safe.
Lately, have you been feeling less safe? Violent and property crime rates have been increasing throughout California over the last few years. And law enforcement officials agree that these increases are happening in part because of recent changes to California's criminal justice system. Instituted through AB 109, Proposition 47, and Proposition 57. It started in 2011 when the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that California had to reduce prison overcrowding. This led the state to approve Assembly Bill 109, which improved unsafe conditions and overcrowding in prisons, but did so by transferring tens of thousands of felons convicted of nonviolent crimes back to local jails. And because of a lack of resources needed to house and supervise this increased prisoner population, the sudden influx of new criminals forced local officials to release tens of thousands of lower-level criminals back into our communities. This has certainly had an impact on crime rates in California. Against this backdrop, in 2014, the state then championed the approval of Proposition 47, or the Safe Neighborhoods and Schools Act, which reclassified and downgraded a number of crimes from felonies to misdemeanors. Today, because of Proposition 47, theft under $950 is considered a consequence-free crime, which has made our neighborhoods and schools less safe. Most recently, in 2016, the state championed Proposition 57, which was called the Public Safety and Rehabilitation Act. Approval of this measure means that felons convicted of nonviolent crimes can be released early from state prison. But remember, under AB 109, there are no more nonviolent felons in state prison. So who did Proposition 57 make eligible for early release? Because of Proposition 57, felons convicted of these crimes can now be released early. Do these crimes seem nonviolent to you? Taken together, AB 109, Proposition 47, and Proposition 57 did institute important, needed reforms to the state's criminal justice system. However, the new laws have also had negative public safety impacts that should be addressed. Because recent increases in crime won't be solved by hiring more police officers, the problems we're facing can only be solved if the state chooses to make some common sense improvements to our laws so that we can keep the best parts of AB 109, Proposition 47, and Proposition 57, while also being able to effectively deter crime and appropriately punish violent criminals. To learn more, visit www.takingbackourcommunityca.com.
All right. So it should be clear at this point that some action was needed to respond to these problems. I'll tell you about a couple of things that Monrovia did to address those problems. First, Monrovia took the initiative to establish a coalition of over 40 like-minded agencies, and that coalition is called the Taking Back Our Community Coalition. It's a coalition that produced the video you just saw. The purpose of the coalition was and is to make common sense reforms to AB 109, 47, and 57 while remaining cognizant of the underlying issues that led to the passage of those ill-conceived laws. Our effort has not been in vain. Instead, the coalition helped create the Keeping California Safe Act, which has qualified for the November 2020 ballot via the initiative process. If approved by a majority of voters, the Keeping California Safe Act would address the very worst parts of California's criminal justice system, and as we move forward this next year, you'll be hearing more from us about that program, about that particular effort, I should say. In addition to working regionally and statewide to combat increasing crime, Monrovia's council also took the initiative to create a novel program at the local level. Specifically, we created the Home Security Rebate Program, which was launched last year. Through the program, the city subsidized the purchase of home security features, such as cameras, security doors, and locking mailboxes, and we did that for over 300 Monrovia homes. Our goal was to make Monrovians less vulnerable to crime and to make Monrovia a less popular destination for criminals. Fortunately, the program was enthusiastically adopted by the community, and our community is safer for it. Another area in which the city showed initiative and creativity this past year was in its partnership with CityGrows. CityGrows is a new technology firm that specializes in transforming paper forms into clear online digital processes. The city used the opportunity presented by the Home Security Rebate Program to implement some CityGrows technology. Our experiment was a success, and those who participated in the rebate program were able to receive their rebate faster than they otherwise would have been able to. Because of how successful the CityGrows experiment was with regard to our home security rebate program, the city adopted CityGrows technology for other resident programs as well. In fact, the applications we created through CityGrows made such an impression that multiple other jurisdictions have started using our forms and processes as templates. An additional program that the city launched this past year was truly groundbreaking and is one that has the potential to radically change the suburban mobility paradigm. It is referred to as Go Monrovia. The Go Monrovia program was launched in March of 2018, and the purpose of the program was to provide a better public transportation option for residents. We hope to achieve that objective by providing simple and cost-effective public transportation options through partnerships with Lyft and Limebike. The impetus for us to pursue these partnerships with Lyft and Limebike was our recognition of impending traffic and parking problems. Demographic trends indicate that during the next 25 years, Southern California will add the equivalent population of the entire state of Oregon. That's 4 million more people added to an already overcrowded area. With that in mind, we knew we had to get ahead of the problem, and our initial step was the development of Go Monrovia. Under the Go Monrovia initiative, individuals today have access to a 50-cent shared Lyft ride to Old Town or Station Square, and a $1 shared ride to anywhere else in the Monrovia service area. Additionally, residents have the option of riding solo for $3 or $3.50 per ride, depending on the destination. With regard to Limebike, our partnership with them has given Monrovians access to dockless bicycles throughout our city. Unfortunately, it hasn't helped me keep my place in my speech. All right. Those dockless bicycles can be rented for a $1 unlocking fee and 50 cents for every minute after 30 minutes thereafter. So you get 30 minutes for $1, and then it costs you 5 cents per minute thereafter. To give you a sense for how revolutionary the city's Go Monrovia program is, the publication BizNow, which is a leading trade publication, recently published an article about our Go Monrovia program entitled, quote, "This Lyft partnership program may change city transportation." That's not Monrovia transportation, but city transportation in general. Let's now turn to the empirically demonstrable success of Go Monrovia. With regard to our Limebike partnership, since we launched the program, we've had nearly 4,500 people sign up for the program, and those individuals have accounted for approximately 14,000 total Limebike rides. Many of those people are riding bikes now instead of driving, and all of them are individuals who are benefiting from additional exercise. So Limebike not only helps relieve traffic congestion, it also helps relieve coronary congestion. With regard to our Lyft partnership, that too has been a resounding success. In March 2018, the month in which we launched the program, we provided 4,921 rides. That's a lot of rides. In the next month, April, that number grew to 20,732 rides. It's a pretty astounding number as well. The next month, May 2018, just the third month of the program's existence, we had 32,827 rides. Today, our ridership level has achieved the state of homeostasis at approximately 67,000 public transportation rides each month. That's, by any measure, a success. That equates to more rides per year through this simple partnership with Lyft than many local public transportation agencies provide through their entire operation. And most importantly, we did that without negatively affecting the budget at all. One of the things that I personally like about the Go Monrovia program is that it represents Monrovia taking the initiative to solve problems rather than waiting for another agency to figure out a solution that we then meekly and belatedly adopt. In fact, the Go Monrovia program powered by Lyft is so innovative and such a success that it has been referred to as a new model for suburban mobility. Dozens and dozens of other cities have called us and are trying to figure out what we did with Lyft and how we did it. The program is being studied by transportation experts from around the country, and you can bet that in the years to come, you will see copycat programs pop up all over the place. When you do, just remember that this new model for suburban mobility began here in Monrovia. I should probably fess up to the fact that I didn't really support this program at first, but I was coerced into it by Mr. Chi, and I now have to admit that I was wrong. The new programs I've highlighted tonight are just a few of the innovative Monrovia-centric solutions that we've implemented over the past year. And they reflect this council's focus on improving the local quality of life through improved customer service and the protection of our citizens. And you can be assured that in the years to come, we will continue to recognize areas for improvement, and we will continue to take the initiative to find and implement intelligent solutions. With that, I'll now turn the floor back to our mayor, Tom Adams.
Give Alex a big hand, thank you. I've got to, before we continue on, I noticed that Andy Montgomery's out of popcorn over here. We want to make sure that everybody's comfortable. You need a water? Yeah, water. Hit the red button there, and I'll take care of you. Okay, Alex, thank you so much. Some great news, and it's not always good news. Sometimes the state of California delivers things that we would prefer they didn't, but it shows you what we're doing to try to make things right for Monrovia, because after all, you are the ones we work for. So next up, we've got Gloria Crudgington in just a moment. And Gloria is going to share on some really great things. Let me tell you a little bit about Gloria. How many of you have heard about stormwater cleanup? Probably more than you ever wanted to know. When Gloria first got elected to the council, I think we were facing, Gloria, was it $230 million? $250 million worth of stormwater cleanup. Thank you for the water. And clearly, we couldn't afford it. Doesn't matter if it's a good idea or not. If you don't have the money, you don't have the money. Gloria's worked on this more than you can ever imagine, and has got it down by about 90% so far, and we're still working on it, so please give Gloria a big hand. Gloria, come on up.
Thank you. Can I give you a hug?
Yeah.
Thank you, Tom, and good evening, Monrovia. Let me say something about the mask. I promise you I haven't become a germaphobe, even though I'm going to look like Howie Mandel for a minute here. Okay. The mask and my earring is fighting. So, regarding the mask, let me assure you, I don't have a dread disease that I'm contagious with. I'm not trying to hide my identity and steal stuff out of your purses. I have some surgery scheduled that they're going to cancel if I get a cold or the flu, so I'm just trying to keep myself well. And Andy, this is a special note for you. It's probably always a good idea to not ask women of a certain age what kind of surgery they're having. Thank you. So it's hard to believe, but I've been on the city council now for almost 4 years. And when I first joined the team, I wasn't sure what to expect. What I did know, though, as a licensed marriage and family therapist, was that the city appeared to need some good professional help. But as you heard from earlier from Tom, and you've sensed from the rest of my colleagues, we've really made a commitment to working together, and we're a much, much stronger team. We're a wonderful team. Now, that doesn't mean we always agree, but we have found a way to do it without being disagreeable. And I'll let you in on a little secret about the state of the city council today. You know, kind of a behind the curtain view of what it's been like to be on this team. It's just an absolute blast, and I'm personally having the time of my life doing this. I think that it's been our commitment to work together that has allowed us to do some of the hard things we've accomplished, like the Go Monrovia program you just heard Alex talk about. We've also made tremendous paradigm shifting advantage on the stormwater front, and I'm tremendously proud of that. This is pretty complicated stuff, but in short, our storm control drains and channels were designed to prevent loss of life and property from floods. But over the last 60 years, they become an open sewer that runs out to the ocean, polluting our local water bodies like Baldwin Lake and Peck Lake in the process. When I first joined the City Council, state regulatory mandates related to cleaning up stormwater were, as Tom mentioned, a $250 million stormwater compliance liability for Monrovia. And in our little watershed group, our nearest 6 communities across the foothills, it was $1.4 billion. I mean, that's just insane. So during the past few years, we've been working to bring environmental groups, regulatory agencies, and municipalities together so we can talk about balance. At times, I've really had to put my marriage and family therapist hat on. These groups have been at war with each other for over 25 years. We've emphasized that while clean water is important, so are financial realities. And those conversations and efforts have resulted in the development of updated stormwater compliance plans that have reduced our overall stormwater liability by over 90%, and while continuing to achieve mandated clean water standards. And given that LA County recently passed Measure W, the same Safe Clean Water Act, we now have the money we need to ensure that we can execute our stormwater improvement plans. And that, I think, we could use a touchdown applause for, please. And staff continues to make us all look good. This couldn't have happened without Oliver Chi and Alex Tachiki on our staff. Give them a little applause, too, please. So that lesson in balance has served us well on the economic development front, too, because, boy, do we have a lot of growth happening here in town. But let's start with some perspective. For the past 20 years, starting back when Bob Bartlett was mayor, this city was hoping for and working for a light rail transit station and the transit village that would surround it. In 2000, the voters of Monrovia told City Council at the time that new development was strictly off limits in our foothills. So that City Council commissioned a study conducted by the Urban Land Institute, which was completed in 2004, and focused new housing density in 3 places: Old Town, Station Square, and on the west side of Huntington Drive. We are following that blueprint. In addition, our current City Council has protected older homes in our existing neighborhoods through tightening our demolition ordinance to protect our historic architecture and creating a neighborhood compatibility ordinance that constrains the size of new development in existing neighborhoods and prevents Arcadia-style mansionization. Yay on that. But make no mistake about it, California's current housing shortage is going to be fixed, and it's going to be fixed by new, higher density construction, whether or not we want it. That's the only way we will end the housing shortage that is driving up housing costs. The experts all agree on one thing: it's about supply and demand. Last year, the writing was on the wall in Sacramento. our legislators were starting to craft laws that demanded new higher density development. But Sacramento's initial one-size-fits-all approach was truly terrifying to your city council and city staff. Fortunately, enough cities rose up to demand local control. But our new governor has already signaled his intention to create more housing, saying he would consider withholding transportation dollars from cities that do not create more housing. So in true Monrovia form, we are crafting a solution that is best for guess who? Monrovia. We are a model for how to get things done in a balanced way. We were a precedent-setting community when we saved our foothills. We have been a model city leading the pack to solve the stormwater problem in the county of Los Angeles. And we will be the same kind of leader when it comes to housing by creating the new and protecting the old, creating new solutions and preserving our history. We're going to find that sweet spot, that balance between needing to grow and needing to protect that which makes Monrovia so unique. This past year, we saw 2 large-scale housing developments open their doors to new residents, while the city also approved 3 additional significant new development initiatives. Let's start with the Arium Apartments, located at 5th and Huntington. And just a note to the staff up in the booth, I really edited this a lot, so get your track shoes on. 154 units, the first of several larger scale apartment projects to come online in Monrovia. Everyone has been watching and wondering how the facility would do. Well, fast forward a few months and we have our answer. It's been a resounding success. Arium is effectively all leased out now with over 95% of the units occupied. 95%. Whew. We've just recently had another project come online. MODA at Monrovia Station is the first transit-oriented housing project we've had open at our Gold Line station. And they had their grand opening celebration just a few weeks ago. The facility features 261 units, and we've heard that residents are already starting to move in. As the project matures, all of us here at the city are hopeful that MODA will be as successful as Arium Apartments have been. There are also 3 more larger scale developments in the pipeline that the city approved last year. The first of these projects has been more than a decade in the making. The city started purchasing the properties located at the southwest corner of Myrtle Avenue and Huntington Drive in 2002. And since that time, the site has sat vacant, best known as the place you go to get pumpkins and Christmas trees during the holidays. The city has approved a new 109-room Marriott Town Place Suites hotel for the site. The project is now in the building plan check, and we expect construction to get underway this calendar year. We also approved 2 other residential projects in Monrovia. The Avalon Bay project is a 154-unit apartment project located at the northwest corner of Myrtle Avenue and Chestnut, just south of Old Town. The project includes nearly 3,000 square feet of retail space located on Myrtle Avenue. In addition, we were excited that this project includes 13 very low-income, deed-restricted affordable units, which will help add a mixture of housing types to our city and perhaps show the way to more. In addition, the city also approved the Richmond residential project located at Station Square, just south of our actual Gold Line station. It's 296 units, and of note, the Richmond initiative includes the provision to install an additional access point to the Gold Line station from south of the tracks, which we think will be a terrific amenity for the public. I see you agree. But please bear in mind, as a city, we're taking significant steps to ensure, as development continues to occur, that we institute programs. We're not going to institute any problems, although we might. We'll see if we can catch it. So we're working very hard to mitigate the negative impacts associated with new development. For instance, the city recently adopted a new development water rate, which requires that any new project adding 5 or more units to the city pay the full cost of importing water from outside the region for their use. This new development water rate means that any new development projects will have to pay an effective water rate that is 34.4% more expensive than the normal water rate that current Monrovians are charged. This policy enhancement will ensure that our existing residents and businesses are not forced to bear the additional cost of importing more water into the city to serve a new population base. We've also instituted policies that will make new developments pay more for impacts to our city. We've been creating Mellow Roost districts that overlay on each significant new development project. Through this policy, all significant new developments will be required to pay an extra property tax assessment annually to offset the increased costs for police and fire services that are necessitated when major projects are constructed. And on the traffic and parking front, the city has worked to continue to improve and refine our Go Monrovia program. Our goal in providing cost-effective Lyft rides has been to give everyone in town options, so that as things get a bit more crowded, you can decide if you want to try to find a parking spot in Old Town or take a Lyft ride there for 50 cents and not have to deal with the hassle of parking. But please bear this in mind. More visitors to Old Town protect and grow our Old Town businesses. They are the heart of our city. Finally, the city's been engaged in a significant review of mechanisms to reduce the impact of increased traffic. Our efforts have involved the evaluation of signal synchronization systems. Try to say that 5 times in a row real fast. Signal synchronization systems, okay. And key traffic intersection improvements for 8 locations in town, as seen behind me. Monrovia is in a terrific position right now with an unprecedented opportunity to realize our long-term economic development plans, but the key is balance. And we've been working hard here at the city to figure out a way to find consensus on a host of potentially contentious issues. As long as we embrace a commitment to working together, seek to compromise where we can, and work to find the best solutions for Monrovia, with that formula, we can pretty much solve any problem faced by our community. So says the licensed marriage and family therapist. Thank you all for giving, all so much for giving me a chance to speak tonight. And with that, I'm going to put my mask back on and turn it back over to Tom. Don't breathe on me though.
Give Gloria a big hand, please. And this is something Gloria would never ask you to do, and I hope I don't get in trouble for doing it, but you know, all of the stuff that you've seen only works when all 5 of us are doing our job. And I think this city council does an extraordinary job. So we need Gloria back as quickly as we can get her back from her surgery. So if you could all keep her in your prayers for a speedy recovery, I would be very appreciative. Thank you. So I need to thank the entire city council, Alex, Becky, Gloria, and Larry that you saw remotely, because I've served with a lot of people over the years, and none of them do as good a job as this group. So my thanks are to each of the 4 of them. Thank you all very much. I appreciate everything you do all year long. This is what makes Monrovia the great community that it is. So you've seen that the state of the city is strong. Would you agree? Yeah. All right. The local economy is vibrant. We've seen the addition of more than 300,000 square feet of new office space, 2,000 new jobs. The Beckman Institute for the City of Hope is in Monrovia. There's like 400 cancer research scientists working in Monrovia every day. It's just amazing what goes on in Monrovia. And we're in good financial shape. I like to tell everyone we are in as good a shape as the state of California will allow us to be. And we're trying real hard. But boy, there's a lot coming down the pipeline. Despite all the successes that we experienced last year, 2019 is going to be a watershed year for Monrovia, because we're going to have to struggle with issues that will literally shape what our community looks like for decades to come. First, it's more than likely that we'll be considering approval of 4 significant development projects, including the Fifield Realty residential project, Alexan residential project by Trammell Crow, Arroyo at Monrovia Station residential project, and the Cambria Hotel project. All of these are located in the Station Square area, and they propose adding over 1,000 new residential units to the city's housing stock, along with more than 100 new hotel rooms. As the City Council considers these, we'll be taking into account the need for more housing to drive down costs. I mean, we all keep hearing that the cost of housing is skyrocketing, right? Well, it's real simple. Either we need to provide more housing or less people. So the answer is very clear. We need to supply more housing. A bigger challenge that we're facing relates to taxes. Did you all know that in LA County we now have the highest base sales tax rate in California? Did everybody know that? Yeah. Okay. 9.5%. We're the highest base sales tax rate in the state. Higher than in the Silicon Valley, higher than in San Francisco, higher than anywhere in California. And you might be wondering where we go from here. And the answer is really simple. Since 2004, LA County has been able to eventually pass every single tax measure that they put forth to the county voters. Every single one. Even when LA County needed 2/3 voter approval, they get it. The bad part about that for Monrovia, and I think the last number I saw, is these more recent tax measures suck out $25 million out of the Monrovia economy and return $2.5 million. So our goal is to try to keep more of that money here for us. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. The 2017 Measure H quarter-cent sales tax to fund services and help prevent homelessness. That'll raise about $355 million across the county per year. We contribute $2.6 million per year. Do you know how much we get out of $2.6 million? $30,000. So $2.6 million is taken out of the Monrovia economy, and $30,000 comes back. About 1%. Doesn't make much sense, does it? To add salt to the wound, Santa Monica and Long Beach got ahead of LA County and enacted their own homeless tax. So they don't have to contribute to LA County, but they get LA County's money back. So part of Monrovia's money is going to Long Beach, part of Monrovia's money is going to Santa Monica, and most of Monrovia's money is not going to Monrovia. And I tell that to everyone who calls up and says, what are you going to do about the homeless thing? What are you going to do about homeless people? How are we going to help them? Well, all of our money gets sucked off into LA County, and 1% of it comes back. So we're hopeful LA County will solve that problem. You think they will? No. Okay. So what we're looking at, and I'm going to get away from the notes and just talk straight to the heart from you, is there's another, is it 3/4 of a cent that's left, Oliver? There's 3/4 of a cent left in possible sales tax taxing authority that is currently available. And we have a choice of waiting for LA County to take that, and they most certainly will, unless we get in front of them. So it's not a question of whether or not you think people should pay that tax. The real question is, where do you want the money to go? Me personally, I'd rather see all of the money stay in Monrovia, because I think if we can keep our own money and get some from somebody else, we win. When we lose is when our money goes off to someone else. So, what we're considering is to have a sales tax measure get to the voters ahead of LA County, which will effectively block them from increasing anything after that, and legally makes absolute certainty that all of the money will stay in Monrovia. Does that make sense? I hear some hesitation. Because the tax is going to come. So how many of you think the money should go to LA County? I see one person. It's an LA County employee. How many of you would prefer to see the money stay in Monrovia? Yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. Yeah. Okay. Because I'm a pretty fiscally conservative guy, and I would just assume we didn't have to pay any additional tax. This is not about whether we want to pay the tax or not. The tax is going to come. The question is, where do you want it to go? So I wanted you to hear it straight from me to you tonight. I don't like tax any more than the next guy. But what I hate is us paying a tax to LA County and us getting back somewhere between 1% and 10% of the money, and they get the rest. Because quite frankly, I don't think they do a good job for us. I think that as I talk to our Madtown council people, I don't think that they think the county does that great a job, because they keep talking about being annexed. Because the county doesn't provide the level of service that the city does. Does that make sense to everybody? Yeah. Okay. Is there anybody who thinks it doesn't? Other than that one LA County employee over there? Okay. So instead of feeding LA County, let's feed Monrovia, because if we can keep some of that money here, maybe we can do a little better job of taking care of our own issues, taking care of our own homeless people, because somebody has to do that, right? And it's going to fall on us. So you're going to hear more and more about that as time comes on, because the one thing we need to do, if we're going to do it, is we need to do it before LA County does it. So the past year was pretty amazing in Monrovia, and 2019 is shaping up to be an even bigger year for the community. None of us has a crystal ball to see into the future, but as long as the five of us and Oliver and his team are all pulling together, you're going to see some great things. Andy, do you need any more candy?
I'm okay.
You okay? There's still a lot to do. Monrovia renewal is more than halfway done. They still haven't done the part in front of my home. Something about making me wait to last. I don't understand that, but somebody complained that, well, we didn't want the mayor's street to get fixed first, so they fixed my daughter's street first, and they're going to fix mine last. Anyways, this is the state of Monrovia. I tell you, I've been here most of my life, and I can't think of a better place to call home. Thank you all for coming this evening. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.